and you guys and Jamaica was not involved, because at the time when it was being created and Jamaica was invited to be a part of it, we could not afford it.
Well,
we could not afford it under the Portia Simpson-led administration. He talked about them putting in legislation to help with the recovery and the debt payment. Sir, don't do that. Because if you're gonna talk about the fiscal rules of 2010, that is Bruce Golding, Audley Shaw, and Dan Webby. What they did is made modifications so they could draw down on funds that they could not get. Don't do that. No. Don't do that crazy thing and come up here and talk these things. There are people who listen to this program. There are people who host and co-host this program that knows what's going on. And this little old-time PMP style, when we slide past any lies and we just sit aside and listen to it and not say anything. No, we are talk up now.
I thank you for that clarification, and I appreciate it very much. I always know that there are persons listening that can back us up. But the real argument that I want to, and I really want to start this discussion, you know, how do you prepare a country for a disaster? How do you prepare the country?
Very good.
When you talk about Jamaica was not prepared, what do you mean? Are you talking about flour and rice and sardine and mattress? Yes, and sending out 2 tractors to clean some drain? No, guys. We need to look beyond that, and we need to listen to me. This government of Andrew Holness, you know, sir, has not gotten the type of credit that it ought to get, you know. And I want Jamaica to understand that.
Neighbor, I must interject here again, because you see that which you just said. Here's my view on it. They have gotten the credit from the people directly. The news media and society and the social commentators will try to deflect and try to pour cold water on the work and achievement. But we, the people who have the true power, knows what's going on. And that is why a lot of people is willing to stand up and talk today. Back in the days, a lot of people that cower into a corner and not say anything, even though they know the truth, because of victimization and all manner of things that was attached to their playbook. But the people, Neighbor, take note, more people are standing up to speak the truth, right? Irrespective of what the media is doing. And that is an acknowledgement and credit given to the work done.
Listen to the Prime Minister. It is regretful that after working so hard to bring our debt down towards 60%, we now face a situation where half the country's infrastructure has been devastated.
Yep.
Travis, that's how you prepare for a disaster. You prepare for a disaster by getting your country out of debt.
That is correct.
To you, because right now, I see the news this morning saying that the Jamaica has not even approached the IMF yet.
Thank you.
For money to borrow. There is no question, Travis, that the government will have to borrow money to help the reconstruction effort. But if your debt is at 150%, you know,
usually the first move is to go to the IMF.
Yes, but the IMF is going to put you under such restriction, and your people are going to have to steer down the barrel of financial woe. Travis, let me tell Jamaicans something, because I don't think our people even understand exactly what is going on here. That where Jamaica is today in terms of its financing, the Prime Minister is saying that we are going to be in for a difficult time. But imagine how worse it would have been if the government was reckless with the country's financing.
That is absolutely correct. That is absolutely correct. And we must now take note and take into consideration, because we have to do this. I'm sorry, we have to do it, because they have turned it into a political situation. So now we have to approach it politically, right? Now, what has happened is we've seen where the opposition, who is in practice, who is auditioning to become government, let us now look at their proposal over the years and where we are now. If we had decided to take 40 billion out of the NIR, right, to just give away, just do handout, Fast forward with that money gone and the position we're in, what would it be like? Because Neighbour is asking some very important question. You know? It might not be the sexy conversation. It might not be the conversation that is filled with excitement, but it is the true conversation. It is the true conversation. that? One about 2007 or something like that?
2007.
There was no constituency development fund. There was none. The constituencies that used to get money back then were that of famous and powerfully positioned politicians. There was not a and that is why Westmoreland, for example, is so underdeveloped, because it wasn't sexy to spend money in that area. It was very sexy. It gave political prominence. It gave hype when you would spend money in Kingston and its environs. And for the rest of the island, no development would take place. No national development would take place. And I say this to you because most recently I've been looking at it, and then I started to do some research. And you know what I stumbled upon? Mutty Perkins crying the same cry that I'm presenting right now. That before Bruce Golding introduced the Constituency Development Fund, it would only be certain politicians that would get money to do development in their constituency. And that is why places like Western Westmoreland, which served the PMP first before I born, and the Member of Parliament served as tourism minister for decades, and still that tourism town is underdeveloped.
Yeah. Yes, sir. Listen, 8 billion, listen, Jamaicans, 8 billion United States dollars in physical damage. Physical damage. And I'm very concerned also about the psychological damage to our people.
Yes.
Okay, because the more I listened to a man, sir, and he was speaking about the storm, and he said he had to swim for 1 mile to save his life.
Wow.
We do not understand the magnitude, and this is why it is so shameful that the PNP is politicizing this. It is shameful.
It is.
It is shameful, sir. You know, you talk about the physical infrastructure that we are putting back. We need to put back people's lives, Travi. People's emotional lives. Yes, relationships are threatened. Children, okay, children are threatened by this, sir. Okay, children can't go to school. I see children in St. Catherine going to school, and children over in Westmoreland can't go to school. They are threatened, sir. We not only need to put back the physical infrastructure, we have to put back the psychological well-being of our people.
Yes.
If we are not careful, sir, people become suicidal. Because when you wake up, Ravi, and you look at what you have earned, worked so hard for 20 years.
Disappear in mere hours and before your eyes.
Good God Almighty, sir, I sit down here and I tell you the truth. If I woke up one morning and I look up in the sky and and a tarpaulin is over my roof, sir, stress would kill me. Stress would kill me, me trap. And so the people of Jamaica know the last thing they want is to hear from their leaders any damn thing about politics. People's lives need to be put back together. And all hands are needed on deck, Travi, to help our people pull out of them. You know that some people are still cleaning mud out of them house, Travi. Such is the man said the water coming, how much feet? About a mile, bringing into their houses, wash out everything.
Yeah. Okay. There are people who loses for real, no joke, they lost everything. When I say everything, I mean everything. There are people who their business went under, their home was destroyed, their mode of transportation was destroyed in one fell swoop, and that takes mental toughness, and even the mental tough will need support. And I'm not even talking about financial support. People need therapy. People need back peace of mind, however you can bring it back. However it can be brought back.
I mean, you save and you throw your partner and you buy one little flat screen TV because you dream that one day you want to watch a flat screen. It underwater. You buy a little couch, put it in your house and sit down in your living room. It underwater. You take out one little mattress, okay, from court. You not even pay for it yet. It's underwater. These are devastating times. When last have we had 900 900,000 people, Travi, affected by any disaster in Jamaica one time. 900,000.
Yep.
Okay, and 150,000 homes destroyed. And we need $8 billion. And the opposition leader is out there talking about they need more money to put in the hands of their
member of parliament.
It's not sufficient. Because this is giving the people an impression that somehow the government is having a wad of cash put on somewhere and is not using it for these people.
That is the impression they put, and the people of Jamaica needs to come to this position where money is not at the front of our mind, but strategy, planning, and execution becomes important, because this instant gratification of getting money into your hand is not helping. And that is why the Bible said that the fool and his money will depart, because you can give a man a whole heap of money now, and next week he'll have none because he has no plan, he has no strategy. And that is what we're seeing from the PNP. The PNP is not talking about a plan for recovery. They're not talking about a strategy to achieve this recovery. All they're saying is give us more money. Give us money, give us money, give us more money. We want 50 million. 10 million is enough. What about the national strategy to redevelop, to get everybody collectively, to take this whole nation emotionally and mentally to that place?
We are hurt. I mean, 40% of our country is hurting, Travi. 40% of our country, they're hurting. These people are hurting. Okay? I pray God for and I thank God for their resilience. The Prime Minister says that in moments like these often lead to heightened demand for rapid and unrestricted spending. That's the PNP, Travi.
Yeah.
Unrestricted spending. Just spend out the NIR. Spend what you have. People need to understand.
I ask you this, and I ask every individual listening. Let's look at this as our relationship. Now we are struggle. Money get tight. Who do we believe are we going to come together and make a plan and let the person who is most careful with money lead? Or are we just going to keep spending frivolously and comes what it may?
I think the culture in Jamaica, Travi, and I think you should know this, and that is why the PNP continues to be so supported at the polls. It marvels me, but I understand the culture, that there is a entitlement culture in Jamaica that drives a lot of people.
Yes.
Where they feel that government somehow is responsible for them.
Yep.
And the PNP is slowly preaching that, and it is being inculcated again in the culture that somehow is the government responsibility and government have the money to spend. And people do not understand the different layers that runs this economy and runs and balance the country. Because if the government is irresponsible at this time, Jamaicans, then you are going to see tax increases. You are going to see price rises in terms of inflation.
Yep.
And things are going to get hard for all of us in Jamaica.
Yep. And one of the things that we must understand as a people, as a nation, that we must understand government responsibility and our own responsibility and duty to self. Excuse me. Sorry. We must understand our own responsibility and duty which we have to self, because whether we believe it or not, government responsibilities is not to take care of an individual. It is a nationalized responsibility. Yeah? Jamaica must go on after this. Jamaica must continue to be accessible. We must continue to be viable as a nation. And if it is just crazy. Some of the utterance I hear from people, and I know it's just simply politically motivated, but I want to tell the people of Jamaica, the well-thinking people of Jamaica, the people who elected this commander-in-chief for a third term, trust him as you've done before. He has delivered before. He has delivered before, because watch this, most of the talk that you hear, we went through COVID with this administration, and most recently, we went through burial. And through burial, this, because I go back to something Futa say, oh, you can make the investment, but it's what you do with the money. Last year when we had Beryl, which is a similar adverse weather condition, there was no problem and quarrel about money and how it was being spent. There's no investigation. There's no problem with how it was handled. So this administration has proven time and time again that they are able to handle the situation, and I am glad that this administration is inviting all of these watchdogs that they say that need to watch over money and let them watch them execute as they have been doing.
Yeah, I think the government is promising that before Christmas, Travi, the people will be getting back into their homes. At least a commitment the Prime Minister is making that before Christmas, people should be getting back into their shelter. Travi, the best I can say to my brothers and sisters in Jamaica is uneasy is the head that wears the crown, and the Prime Minister needs every support at this time. We don't have an election in anytime soon. Everything should be done to support this man here as he builds back Jamaica and help our people. Travi, I detest the political nonsense that we have going on in Jamaica at this time. I think that I wish that there was a way that we could just not have an opposition right now, because it really don't make no sense. Some of the criticisms to me don't make no sense. People's lives depend on this moment, sir.
I believe they would have gained more political ground, because that is their key and main goal, by being on the ground, helping the people for real, and not pretend and not out here just shouting and slinging mud, but be on the ground, reporting that, hey, help is needed here, documenting things to make sure that the right people receive the right funding and the right amount of funding, because some people $100,000 will get them back in on, some people it's going to take maybe 2 million. You understand what I'm saying? And we don't want to have a case where the recovery is not properly planned or executed, and you find that so many other people who are the most needy was not reached, while some people get 2-3 times over. That's not what we want going forward, right? And I must commend our Jamaican brothers and sisters, everybody who's played a part, right, to help this nation get back on its feet. And I wish to God some of these grown men and women would get real information, because this argument of corruption is played out. Corruption, it played out. This is the third term. Make use of your time in the third term and get prepared for a fourth, because a performing government should be rewarded with being re-elected. So if all of who heart hurt them and I run coming at the comments and I come over here and I vex with Neighbour for having a program where truth is spoken to power, your argument is played out. We've had enough. We are extending an olive branch to you. So let's work together and build a better Jamaica. This conversation we shouldn't be having, Yeah. We should be helping. Neighbor should be covering some neighbors that help build another neighbor house, one house and to another.
Yeah.
Neighbor could be covering that, But because of y'all and this willful ignorance that y'all have on display, we have to be doing this. We are much better than this.
You must stay away so long, Travi. Come on, man. You must stay away so long. Okay.
Listen, neighbor, I have more time. Okay, let's have come and have a conversation. I'm inviting some of you. Come and have a conversation, because I guarantee you a lot of the things that y'all are running with, you have no credible evidence to support it. And while you fill your mind with these things, your Jamaican brothers and sisters is suffering.
All right.
Are you pleased with that?
Yeah, you should be in touch with my moderator so that we can book you as a guest. Yeah.
Neighbor, as long as I'm available, I will come on and I will have the conversation, because you see, I have Jamaican heart.
We want to be able to get in touch with you, man, because
DM me. Yeah. Just tell any one of your people to send me a message. This is my only account, my sole account. This is the account I speak from whenever I come on Twitter and TikTok.
All right,
Just send me a message.
Caroline is listening. Have a great day.
Blessings, sir. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Harry. Harry.
Good morning, Neighbour.
Good morning to you, Harry. How you doing?
Not too bad, you know. Not too bad at all.
Harry, we've moved the conversation a little to how our country prepares for a disaster. And I am arguing, based on a conversation I had with someone this morning, that to be frank, Harry, preparing for a disaster is not just about cleaning drains and buying some bags of flour and some cornmeal and rice and all them something putting down, buying some mattress to put in schools and so forth. That preparing for a disaster requires foresight, and it really also includes economic empowerment of your people so that they individually can prepare for this moment. For you prepare for a disaster by taking out insurance, you prepare for a disaster by having some savings in the bank. So, for example, if you were working for the last couple of years and you were able to save $700,000 or $600,000, you can now respond to your own crisis. Preparing for a disaster, Harry, is to make sure that your NIR is built up. Preparing for a disaster is paying down your debt. Preparing for a disaster is making sure that your infrastructure in the country is first class and world class. Am I not correct?
100% neighbor. And I want to even take it a little further because I am not the type of person to see where everything is the government. I love to put the individual, I love to put them to the forefront and let they also take accountability because neighbor, the truth is we're an indisciplined nation as a people, right? We're only disciplined when we cross the borders.
So you are asking every individual in Jamaica, how did you prepare for this disaster?
Right. Because what I've seen, what I've grown to see as well, neighbor, we have this thing where we're doing a last minute, for example, buying of things. So we don't have a little flashlight put on, we don't have a little renewable charging anything. We just wait for the last minute. So, like we are wait until it come. They say, yes, let me go do this. And that neighbor is a culture that has not died. We still maintain it to this day, and it no individual wants to take the responsibility for that or the accountability. So it shows that is also eating away at the fabric of how disciplined our nation is as a people.
Yeah, but because we are in the path of the hurricanes, Harry, I think overtly or even without knowing, do you think that Holness and his administration knew that this moment would have come? Do you think that they knew that this moment, where 40% of the country is almost totally decimated, 90,000 people affected, 150,000 homes lost? Do you think that the country, the administration knew that this would have come? Could they have?
Well, to a great extent, neighbor, but not necessarily a Cat 5. But we've seen, here's the evidence is there as to why I will say yes, because Nigel Clark did it with the cat bond, neighbor. That is foresighting. That is looking to the future. That was innovation at its best, because he knew what climate change will cause and can cause, and it did fulfill. And it just happens that with the foresight and that intelligence going forward, neighbor, the government, NIR, is in a good position, the best it has ever been in our history. We've had more than just an insurance per se. We became innovative and did the cap bond as the first small island state to even get a payout.
Well, let me ask you this question. If you need time to look at it, maybe later on, I'd love you to do a comparative analysis to help me to see, had we this hurricane in 2016 and now, where was the country in 2016 versus now in the same crisis? How would we have managed if we got a hurricane in 2016?
So for one, this money that everybody right, no cat bond. So people couldn't be commenting and crazy over, arguing over that money, how they want it to be spent.
Yeah.
Right. the transition period, that era that we were in, we were not in the best of position. The dollar wasn't the best, was still sliding. And one of the major things people need to understand as well, the regulations of the IMF, what hit our financial sector to get fully regularized, right, did not take full impact. We did not see the growth of it until the likes of 2017, 18, 19. So if a hurricane hit us 2016, we would have not had any high level of buffering to know. It would have been a threat. As Nigel put it, neighbor, it would have been a threat to the existence of a government and to a great extent a nation. Because the level of money we would have had to be borrowing, right, would have been astronomical. And then, of course, we know hindsight is 2020. Let's say the hurricane hit 2016. Boom, 2020, what happened, neighbor? COVID, pandemic. So we literally...
Spend a minute on this for me. Because it is amazing. You are saying to me that had we got this same hit in 2016, it would have been hell here.
Neighbor, the level, first of all, it wouldn't have been just 40% of our GDP that got hit, right? Because if we look at 40% now and compare this same 40% amount, dollar value, to 2016, it would have equated to a greater percentage of our GDP. That is what persons aren't understanding, because we're no more productive. We have a better output, right? We are financially stable. We are more responsible now, neighbor, instead of responsive, right? No, we are preempting things. We are looking forward. We have the level of resources to put these things in place. 2016, we never have that, neighbor. 2016, we felt like a fish out of water, right? We would have been scampering to borrow this, to borrow that. We wouldn't have had much of any form of buffering. Because remember, 2016 was a transition period for Jamaica. That was when we started to tighten the belt the right way and be fiscally responsible, to be financially disciplined, not just as the government, but as people. You think lives never change? People started to understand that, hey, I can't go out and splurge money like that. In fact, they never have the money to even splurge. And that in its entirety,
Yes, go ahead, sir.
Right, that in its entirety, neighbor, is what people aren't looking at, because they complain that the government is not doing anything, hasn't done anything. But take a look back as the individual, look back at your life, where you were, what opportunities were there.
In other words, the individuals themselves in Jamaica are better prepared now to deal with this crisis than they were in 2016. Some of them weren't even working.
Of course, neighbor. With ease. Where was our employment level? And of course, you may bring up people may bring up the argument of, oh, what is the quality of the jobs? Okay, fine, that's where we are. 2016, you weren't even looking at the quality of the job. You want a job. So the mindset of the government could have done this or wasn't good enough in recovery and whatever is nonsense. Because this preparation where we are, and people need to understand the preparation started at least 5 years ago. And why I said at least 5 years ago is that COVID gave us a taste as to where this government was going, how they would have handled major crisis. So they've been tested, right? They've been proven, because the world has never seen a pandemic in a while. Technically, most of who is living in Jamaica right now has never seen a pandemic, neighbor. But we can give the credit that the government handled that and handled it very well. Can things be better? Things will always be required to be better, neighbor. Some things may be required to be a little bit faster. Some handling expeditious way. Of course, we're humans. We'll never ever be able to prepare for something we've never seen. But we've learned, and I can tell people, just coming from COVID, this administration would have learned how to handle disasters. And that is what they're doing, is what they're preparing. Yeah. So when people come with their short-sightedness.
As big as COVID was, the Prime Minister is saying that this is much larger. And the Prime Minister is also saying that the scale of the disaster, Harry, is shocking to him. Is shocking to even him, and he's lamenting that to have built up the economy and to have taken the debt to 60%, and now to be looking at raising that up, it's disheartening.
It is, neighbor. It is no different from you. I want to break it down for the average man that may be listening. It's no better than you building up, for example, your folk up neighbor for the like a chicken farming and breeze come blow it down, hurricane come wash down. For know all of your hard work, neighbor. You've now set yourself to increase productivity, to be driven more. For the real profitability, and for the government it would be profitability is the equation of improvement in people's lives even more, right? It's definitely going to be disheartening, neighbor, because remember, you know, this administration is really the first administration to be paying down for everything else everybody else have done. They haven't come in here with anything to be used. No money never really did a neighbor. Them have to pay from where they never have. And they've steadied the ship. They've paid it down better than any other administration in terms of the debt. They've grown. They've handled the monster, which is crime for almost 3 decades. Come on, man. This administration has actually been preparing for a potential disaster. And while we may not know the levels that it is, it actually was working to get its people prepared in the best way with what they had.
Fantastic. The opposition continues to call for more money. Though measured, opposition leader Mark Golding said that the $10 million initially given by the government is not sufficient. I see the Prime Minister saying that he's going to get people back in their homes by Christmas. Is the opposition leader not treading on a ground here that he probably ought to reconsider? You know, I hear a lady saying that the person advising the opposition leader should be fired. I can agree with her. Is Mark Golding not sowing in the minds of Jamaicans that somehow the government is not giving out more money? Is that not not an elegant way to go about saying that we need more money? Because it's not about cash in Harry. It's not about giving more people cash. It's about a plan to get people back in their homes. And the Prime Minister is saying, we have such a plan. So why give that money to MPs when the government is coming up with a plan to get people back in their homes in by December? The question is why can't the opposition leader change his approach?
Well, neighbor, as we've been speaking in terms of the topic, it's all smoke and mirrors and being reckless, financially irresponsible and fiscally irresponsible by the opposition, neighbor. Because remember, you know, I can guarantee you that the opposition, for that drafting of plan, they don't even have a budgetary amount of what it's going to cost. So I wouldn't have anybody listen to the opposition right now, in all honesty, neighbor, because one, you don't have a plan. 2, you don't even know what you're going to do with the money, right? And 3 weeks, it's what, 2 weeks and several days now, and you can't even be a decent alternative. All you care about is the money. The same money that you laughed at the time would have been potential money. You laughed at where the money is coming from, right? And now it is here. You've seen the realization, but you want to partake in that money with no real idea, with no understanding of what the people is requiring of you. You can't even be a decent opposition, neighbor, right? In fact, he's not even a good enough leader, because currently we're seeing MPs doing what they want. MPs saying what they want to say, and he can't even rein them in, neighbor. Now, we could say that's strategic from them, but it will eat away at the type of leadership and leader that he is. So they're criticizing the government and asking for more money, but more money to do what? They have yet to answer that critical part of the question. What it is that the opposition can do with that money. If you do give, and we've said it as well, Neighbour, if you do give the people the money, what level of infrastructure can they build? Right? It is just like an individual taking the money to go and build a house with no understanding of what standard is it should be built. Right now, money is a problem, but money is not the full solution. We have to be strategic. We have to stick to our analysis that we've seen. We have to also ensure this is sustainable, Neighbour, and that is what the opposition is hiding from people. And they're buying into the nonsense. What the government is doing right now is ensuring that anything it does, it is sustainable, it is organized, and it impacts the people's lives in the way it should going forward. So again, it is also preparing the people for future impacts of this nature and magnitude, Neighbour. What the opposition is doing is short term, put out money, but what are you going to do with the money?
Yeah, I get the feeling
does
that
the money
were the opposition in power, a lot of money would have been spent. Listen to the Prime Minister says that all recovery spending will be guided by 3 principles: efficiency, ensuring funds are used for the highest impact needs. You agree with that?
Definitely, Neighbour, have to. And we've also mentioned that we had the priorities and importance, and we want to ensure that whatever is priority, Neighbour, and that is of need and necessity has to be done, because you can't do something secondary and expect that the primary things will just fall into place.
But if you listen,
it doesn't work like that.
They are focused on Westmoreland. As a matter of fact, the opposition leader is saying that I think Westmoreland is the highest impact. Why is that so? Is it that? Hold up, listen to him.
I'm hoping that the government will commence a program. They started something with the MPs, but it's $10 million Jamaican, that's not going to do a whole lot. So it's the needs are so enormous in this part of Jamaica that it really needs a national program to be rolled out. And I'm sure that will happen, but it's just how quickly the people can actually change it, because it's not going to be overnight. But we're just here to show solidarity with the people and show them that one Jamaica, one united country, we're all working to try and make the situation better. Okay. I'm hoping that the government will commence a program. They started something with the MPs, but it's $10 million Jamaican, that's not going to do a whole lot.
Okay, so the government have started something with the MPs, 10 million Jamaican, that's not going to do a whole lot. That is not what the government is doing, Harry. That is not, to be fair to the government. That's not what the government is doing. This $10 million is not what the government is doing.
Definitely not, Neighbour. And this has been a tactic from the election coming up, Neighbour, where the opposition himself, the opposition leader, has been miscuing information and twisting it and turning it into what he wants to project to the people. Right? So it's not the first time we're seeing it. Because the government stood in, the Prime Minister stood in Parliament and stated what the money is for, Neighbour. Right? It is right there. Anybody with sense or who wants to know the truth can easily go and listen to the Prime Minister's words compared to the opposition leader and know that the opposition leader is intentionally misleading people. Right? It is not something to be building back people's house and full recovery of people. No, it is for the necessities, and also it can be used at discretion of the MPs in that regard. So it's not for the full recovery kind of thing. A national plan is coming, Neighbour, and the opposition even said it. He said it right. He put him foot in the mouth in a Neighbour. Right? But people won't look at that. And if you listen to the tone, when he was saying that part in terms of solidarity and one Jamaica, the tone fell down.
Yes, not sincere.
Right. So he would have elevated the things that he had an agenda on. But then he subtly says the rest.
The government will commence a program. They started something with the MPs, but it's $10 million Jamaican, you know, that's not going to do a whole lot. So it's the needs are so enormous in this part of Jamaica that it really needs a national program to be rolled out. And I'm sure, you know, that will happen, but it's just how quickly. So people are going to have to be patient.
Well, there you go. Yeah.
Right. Because if you listen, when it commenced and a national program, and then he went down to, you know, solidarity and no. It is set up, Neighbour, for him to, and it's in anybody who does public speaking understand tone and so on in a Neighbour. It is very strategic. Mark Golin isn't a dunce. We know this. But he knows. The nature of the opposition currently, Neighbour. But I think it's time. I know we're doing it. We're calling out not just him but his entire party on this flip-flopping, on this nonsense. Right? We're holding them accountable. But I just hope it gets to a nationwide thing, Neighbour, where the pressure is applied for them to step up to the plate and understand that, hey, leadership standard has now been risen. It has been risen for almost a decade now. And you have to get with the table, you have to get with the standards, or you leave. That is where we have to go with this, because it is getting out of hand now, Neighbour.
The other thing, though, is that there seems to be a divide where the PNP is focusing on Westmoreland. Why is the PNP not focusing on Jamaica or I don't know if I'm wrong.
Well, understand this, Neighbour. This was me put it into perspective, looking at what would have transpired with the election. This is just my view. The opposition is afraid of losing Westmoreland. And I say that with all sincerity, because if we look at how they got back some of those seats, they had to roll out all the old hags of the PNP at the time. I've never seen an election in my short time, Neighbour, where so many opposition past leaders and high-ranking members went to 3 constituencies, Neighbours. Never been done. An entire former party leadership coming together just so people like Dayton Campbell could have gotten back his seat. When you hear you have to call out Percival out of retirement, Neighbour, you must be afraid of something, right? And if the government gets this right, which we know they will, I have all confidence in them, they know if they get it right, Westmoreland is gone. Regardless of how strong it was for the opposition. If it was a 13-20-20 and they've barely won it back in 2025, you can imagine getting this right, Neighbour, coming 2030, what will happen? People getting, in terms of seeing a great improvement of lives, ownership in different things happening, a new life has been sprung, a new realization as to what it is to be a fruitful Jamaican, to see real standard of living, Neighbour. Because Westmoreland never have good standard of living, regardless of what the opposition wants to say. They have strategically kept the people in that way, right? Handout kind of government and so on. They're running scared now, Neighbour. So they have to move and shift it to say, Westmoreland people are suffering, Westmoreland people, nothing is being done. So the people can say, yo, are true, because everything will go St. Elizabeth and otherwise. Not realizing that we've hardly hear of people talk about Hanover, South St. James, and even Trelawney, and there are parts of Trelawney that is worse than Westmoreland. Significantly. Right? But you don't see that they're placing it on their stronghold and then crying to the media about, oh, it's being politicized. No, you are politicizing it.
Uh-huh.
And I want to tell them, there's a video, Neighbour, of I don't remember her name. I'll send it to you. I'm trying to get the video though, where the care packages are being handed out by a family member of the MP I think it's South St. James. I don't quite remember. I don't want to misspeak on that part, but I'm going to get it, neighbor. Where it is the sister and Heather Miller. It is Heather Miller's sister and her in-laws are handing out the packages, right? And they're using not the 1 in 20s, but the canvas that we use in election. They're using it to hand out care packages there. And then Heather is running to Parliament to say, oh, the government is politicizing it. No, there's evidence of you doing it. But I tell them, neighbor, you see what happened to the boy that cries wolf? It's coming, neighbor, and the opposition won't like it.
Okay. Okay, Harry, I have to thank you for this morning. I'm running out of time. Talk to you later.
Every time, neighbor. Take care.
Fantastic. Paul?
Yeah.
Go ahead, sir.
No, I want to agree with your colleagues earlier, Harry, that this argument about money and $10 million, and there seems to be a kind of fascination with a whole heap of money by the PNP, and they want a whole heap of money. One is not quite sure what they want a whole heap of money for, and the hurricane it's going to 3 weeks now or something like that, and the government is in the kind of planning and scoping and all these steps, getting the details, getting the technical on the ground to see what must be done. The early part of the relief as you know, you kind of come into it in terms of that has been established. The food, the whole question of relief and relocation. I mean, in terms of moving the people out of certain area, right? That has been settled. I mean, celebrities and others have been making available food supplies and things that after thought to them. So this fascination with money is a thing that the opposition, and they're trying to throw a lot of money at something that they don't know how it's going to work out. I mean, when you look at Westmoreland and St. Elizabeth and Chilani, you cannot throw money into something that you don't know how it's going to work. You don't have a plan. You don't know. The technical does not give you a broad sheet as to what is to be done, how it is to be done, who will be affected, who will be relocated in a permanent way. So this money argument is just them want them people to have whole heap of money, so that them say they have money to spend and all them things there with no form of accountability. I think that is a dangerous thing. We notice that take place on the part of the opposition. In other words, they're trying their best to get the government make a fool of themselves by giving out money that them can't account for.
Quite true, sir. Quite true.
Yeah.
Quite true. And when you look at all of this, Paul, the fact of the matter is that from the PNP was campaigning for the last election, it was quite clear that they were looking at massive spending. When you look at their manifesto, for example, and some of the promises they were making, quite clearly that they were planning to spend a lot. I get the sense that the type of fiscal discipline that this government is undertaking, even now, that the PNP will not do that, and feel like they are more inclined to want to spend. But the Prime Minister is saying that not because we have a disaster, we better be careful, sir.
No, in fact, we have to be even more careful than we have ever been, because about a whole heap of money to go around. Understand? And it is against that background why the Prime Minister were able and the Minister of Finance were able to put the IMF on pause and say, wait first, man. Because we have first, we make use of whatever we have first before we run into it. Because what we don't want to borrow this whole heap of money, and we don't have the economy of scale to pay back in a reasonable time. And so, that's the beginning of accountability, of frugal spending, right, on the part of the government, which is good. The government recognizes that it has a big bill, to face, right? As we speak, the government has to talk about bills for this public sector workers that is going to come every month. Never mind the hurricane or anything. It has those bills that is a constant recurrent budget, right? So the government knows what it is faced with. It is not beyond the capacity and the leadership qualities of the government, right? But government don't want anybody to kind of draw it into any wild spending and irresponsible doings just because it wants to be seen in the public eye as being popular. And so those of us who support the government have to encourage that message as well, right? We have to encourage the message that the government, even though we know that people want to be to have a proper shelter over there, and even though, in my opinion, I think the government has to look more closely at the social housing program that has initiated a couple of years back now to help people. It has to increase that number because there's a lot of people is going to need house because of what happened to them, and they are not going to be able to afford their own house. I think that program is a good program. The housing solution that provided in that program, strong and durable. I think the government would like it to look at it in a broader way, so that it can reach out to those people who are most affected by the hurricane, right? And it's going to require some amount of funding. Certainly, some of the hard cash that it got from its donors will no doubt go into those projects, right? So the government know what it's doing. It knows the task that lies ahead of it, and it's moving in a very careful and organized and structured way how to attend to these problems.
Paul, I'm running out of time, so thank you. See you later. You here?
Yes, all the best.
Yeah. All right, so our final caller is Candy Rain, 45. Candy Rain? Candy? Morning, Candy. Morning.